Hidden signs he's not into you. In this video, I'm going to reveal the secret signs that a guy is not that into you so that you stop wasting your time. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. Okay, so one thing I tell you guys a lot is that when a guy likes you, it's obvious. However, when a guy doesn't like you, it isn't always so obvious. And in these cases, it's usually because the guy likes you just a little. You know that you're not delusional. You know that he has some feelings. You know that he is attracted to you, but there is something that's missing. He definitely isn't on the same page as you, but something's there. And you're hoping that those feelings of liking you a little will just blossom. And one day he'll wake up and he'll like you a lot and you'll have this amazing relationship and live happily ever after. And this is where so many of you get stuck. You're holding on to this hope. You're holding on to this potential of what could possibly be. And so many of you end up wasting your time and your youth, your precious youth. You end up wasting so many years that you can never get back on a guy who is just on the fence about you. You just kind of have this feeling of not being okay, and you tell yourself that as soon as you can get him to like you back, then everything will be fine. But here's a secret. Self-esteem does not come from proving yourself to someone else and trying to win them over. If anything, that's just gonna annihilate your self-esteem. Self-esteem comes from being able to see a situation clearly and from being able to walk away when it isn't what you want, when you know that you deserve better. And more than that, it's knowing that you'll be fine, that you'll be fine if you leave this relationship because you know you'll find someone else. So I'm gonna share the hidden signs that he is not into you, and I'm also gonna tell you what to do about it. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. Real quick, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and make sure to ring the bell so you get notified whenever we post new content. Make sure to join the A New Mode newsletter. We have an amazing newsletter. We share our best content. You get content from me and from Eric, so you get that male-female perspective. It's delivered straight to your inbox every day. Subscribe at anewmode.com/subscribe and follow me on Instagram at anewmode. Okay, let's get into it with the signs that he's just not that into you. Number one, he sends mixed messages. I feel like mixed messages have just kind of been accepted as the norm, like that's just part of dating. A guy sends mixed messages and you just have to decode them. That's not the norm. At least not when it's a guy who really likes you. When it's a guy who truly likes you, he's not going to be sending you mixed messages. Mixed messages are the result of a guy feeling ambivalent about you, of him feeling a little indifferent, a little unsure of how he feels. And he's confused about how he feels, and so his behavior is confusing. One day he might feel super into you. He might be thinking about you. He might really want to see you. And so he expresses that. Then the next he thinks about it a little more and he's like, oh, I don't really know if I like this about her. I don't really know if it will work out with her. So then maybe you don't hear from him for a while, or maybe he's a little bit cold when you're texting with him. This behavior is also called being hot and cold, being wishy-washy. Sometimes he seems super in it. Sometimes it seems like he's your boyfriend or he's about to become your boyfriend, but then he completely pulls back, probably because he doesn't want you to get the wrong idea. The point is, with mixed messages, the message is clear. He just doesn't like you enough. And I actually have another video on mixed messages, so make sure to watch that as well if you want to know more about that. Number two, he's passive. I often call this the passive reciprocation trap. And I think this is what causes the most confusion when it comes to figuring out how a guy feels. It basically means that you do most of the work. You're the one putting in most of the effort, but he is reciprocating. Like when you reach out to him, he responds and he's really friendly. When you ask him if he wants to hang out, he says yes, he shows up and he seems into you. He flirts with you. You guys may even hook up. So you're like, okay, he's obviously into me. Like, why would he show up? Why would he want to kiss me? Like, why would he, be all touchy-feely with me? So there's obviously something there. But then when you leave, like, you don't hear from him. If you're gonna see him again or talk to him, you reach out to him. Sometimes he reaches out to you, but it's a very passive. It's mostly you putting in the effort, and you almost feel like if you stopped putting in the effort, you would just never hear from him again. The passive reciprocation trap is also a case where a guy kind of likes you a little bit, because if he didn't like you at all, he wouldn't show up. He would just reject you or ignore you. There's obviously some feelings of liking you, some feelings of being attracted to you, but it's not enough. If he had those strong feelings for you, you would know. He would be much more, proactive. He would take much more of an initiative. Now, a follow-up question I get with this topic a lot is, well, maybe he's just used to it being this way because I'm always the one who reaches out to him. So he's just, that's just the established pattern of behavior. Okay, fine, be that as it may. If that's the case, pull back a little bit and see what he does. If he really likes you, he's not just gonna let you disappear. He's gonna be more proactive. I actually have a good passive reciprocation story. So I have a friend who decided to do a very bold thing, despite me telling her it was a terrible idea. She decided she wanted to ask a guy out. I'm very against this kind of thing. for various reasons, but no, not for various reasons. For one main reason, if a guy likes you, he's gonna ask you out. Like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to come to that. It doesn't have to come to you asking him out. Anyway, she decided this is what she wanted to do. This is a guy she'd known for years, and he had been interested in her like years earlier, but she was involved with someone else and it just didn't happen, and they ended up just being friends. And then she was, you know, kind of looking at him a little differently and thinking maybe something could be here. So she decided to ask him out. So she did, and he said yes. And she was like, see, Sabrina, you're wrong. He said yes. And I'm like, all right, do what you want to do. This is not going to end well. So he said yes, but then they had a lot of trouble setting the date because he always had something. He always had a work thing, or he wasn't feeling so well, or he promised his friend he would hang out with him. So it's like weeks and weeks of them like texting a little here and there, trying to figure out a time to meet up, and it just never happened. So then a little more time went on and she circled back with him and was like, okay, so do you want to meet up for that drink? And they did go out and they had a nice time. And again, she was like, oh, see, Sabrina, I told you, we had a really good time. And they ended up going out, I think, again. And then it just completely fizzled out. So this is something, and she was like super disappointed because she was building it up in her mind thinking, oh, like this guy, and he's been here all along and we've been friends, and now maybe it's gonna be something more. And he seemed kind of into it. Like, he was really nice and really reciprocative, if that's a word, when she reached out to him, but then it fizzled out because he just wasn't into her. Like, if he was really into her, he wouldn't have been playing that game of like, you know, canceling the dates or prolonging the dates. Like, he would have shown up. He would have rearranged his schedule. He would have done whatever he had to do to be there. He was just kind of mildly interested, but not enough to do anything. His behavior was very passive, and that's something that you'll see when a guy just doesn't like you enough. Which brings me to my next point. Number 3, he doesn't put in any effort. He may always want you to drive to him. He may always want to go to the restaurant that's right around the corner from his house. Basically, it just runs on his schedule, what's convenient for him, what works for him, and you're the one that's basically doing all the work. This is not how a man behaves when he truly likes a woman. When a guy's indifferent, when he kind of like can take it or leave it with you, then he'll do this because he's not worried about losing you. So he's like, okay, like, I don't even put in any effort here. As humans, we want to put in the minimum effort and get the maximum reward. That's just how we're wired. So if he can get away with doing this, he will. Now, if you want to see where he stands, stop going out of your way for him and see what he does. If he lets you just fade away, it means that he just never really liked you enough. Number 4, he's inconsistent. Now, if you are a regular watcher of this channel or reader of anewmode.com, then you'll know all about this because I talk about it a lot. When a guy likes you, he's consistent. He consistently reaches out to you. He consistently wants to see you or FaceTime you or whatever the case may be. When he is just completely inconsistent, where you have no idea where you stand, where you have no idea like where his head is at, you have no, or where his physical body's at, you don't know what is up with him. It's because he just is unsure of how he feels about you. Or he might be behaving that way because he doesn't want to give you the wrong idea. A guy knows that if he is consistent with you, then you'll come to expect certain things from him. You'll expect that this is moving in the direction of becoming a real relationship. And if he isn't that into you, he's not going to want you to think that way. If a guy is just all over the place, it means he's probably just focused on getting his needs met. So that's why like you'll hear from him when he wants something from you. Maybe if, you know, he wants to text you because he wants to boost his ego or he wants to get his physical needs met, but he's just not there on a consistent basis. Number 5, he keeps you at arm's length. Now, a guy might do this if he's a damage case or if he just isn't into you enough. And in either case, you don't want to be involved with someone like this. He basically doesn't really let you in. He doesn't really bring you into his life in a significant way. I mean, maybe you meet his friends, maybe you even meet his family. And some guys like just don't treat meeting the family or meeting the friends as a big deal. There have been so many guys who I've dated casually where I've met their parents, I've met their friends, and those were not serious relationships. But when a guy is serious about you, he's not just gonna want you to meet them. He's gonna want you to connect with them. He's gonna want you to be best friends with his sister and hang out with her. He's gonna want you to be friends with the girlfriends and the wives of his best friends. I mean, I remember that's like how my husband was when we started dating. Like, he wanted me to be friends with all those people because he wanted to really bring me into the fold, bring me into his life. Another thing with a guy who just doesn't like you enough is you're never really gonna know him, because a lot of guys will hold themselves back, keep their emotions close to the chest. But a guy will peel back those layers with a girl he truly likes. But if it's a girl that he's not that interested in, not that invested in, then he's not gonna do that, because that's really an investment for him, opening up in that way. But I also want to caution you of the guys who just reveal everything like all at once. People who are emotionally leaky like that are just huge red flags. I mean, anytime a guy is like sharing all his deep, dark secrets after you just met or when you're on like the second date, that's just a huge sign that something's amiss. And you should watch my videos on red flags to watch out for more on that. Number 6, he doesn't take you out. Now, this could be for a few reasons. The first is that he just doesn't want to spend money on you because he just doesn't like you. I mean, it sounds so mean coming out of my mouth, but it's true. If a guy doesn't really like you, he's not gonna wanna like take you to dinner. Maybe at most he'll take you to like a dive bar to get a beer, but he's not gonna wine and dine you because he doesn't want to make that investment because he doesn't see this going anywhere. Next, he could just want to keep you a secret because maybe he's dating another girl, maybe he's dating several other girls, and if he takes you out in public, he risks running into one of those girls or running into one of their friends and them finding out. And lastly, he might just not take you out on proper dates because he doesn't want you to get the wrong idea. Guys aren't that dense. They know how women interpret things, and guys do not want to be the bad guy. Even though some of his behavior can seem really mean and really confusing, he doesn't want to be the bad guy. But instead of coming right out and saying to you like, look, I don't want you to get the wrong idea, like, you know, or maybe he does come right out and say that to you, but a lot of women just tend to not believe the guy when he says that, or she tends to think, okay, he's saying that now, but like once he sees how amazing I am, he's gonna change his mind. But the point is, that's also his way of telling you that this relationship is not a real relationship. Like that's why he's not taking you on dates. He doesn't want you to get the wrong idea. Number 7, he's only interested in getting physical. On the surface, this might seem like a good thing. It might seem like, wow, he is so attracted to me. He's so into me. He can't get enough of me. Our chemistry is amazing. And that's true. I mean, you need to have good chemistry. You need to have that level of attraction. But if that's all you have, it means this guy isn't interested in you in a significant way. If he truly liked you, he would want to connect with you on an emotional level, not just on a physical level. A physical connection is only one part of a relationship. You also need an emotional connection, an intellectual connection, spiritual connection. And if you only check one out of those 4 boxes, then that's a sign that he just doesn't really like you. Number 8, you just know. Our guts typically know what's up. That's probably why you're here. That's probably why you're watching this video. Something inside is telling you that something's not right here. Something is telling you that this guy isn't on the same page as you, and he doesn't like you as much as you like him, as much as you want him to like you. Don't ignore that inner voice. That inner voice is your best friend. That inner voice is watching out for you. You can't listen to that voice of delusion, and you know what those delusions sound like. The delusions are loud and domineering. Like, no, it's fine. Just stick this out. Stick this out. You're just being paranoid. He likes you. And it encourages you to like stay in this situation and hold on to that hope. Your gut is quiet. Your gut is telling you, your gut is like tapping you on the shoulder and saying, you deserve more than this. You deserve a guy who really likes you, not a guy where you're constantly questioning, like, how does he feel? Where do we stand? Okay, so now that you know the signs that he probably doesn't like you, what do you do about it? Where do we go from here? First, don't dismiss the information that you just learned. Ignore that loud voice that's telling you that, oh, this girl, who is she? Don't listen to her. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Don't dismiss the things that you've learned on this list. If you check several of the boxes of the items that I've listed, that means he just doesn't like you enough. You don't want to stay stuck in a dead-end relationship where you're just trying to prove yourself to someone else. Maybe you've convinced yourself with a little more time, a little more love, a little more patience, a little more showing him how great I am, then he'll see the light and then everything will be great. And my question to you is, do you really want to have to work this hard to convince a guy to like you? Don't you want a guy who is just crazy about you and just likes you, like can't be talked out of it? It does not need to be this hard. And with the right guy, it won't be this hard. You need to remove your emotions from this situation and look at things more objectively. I'm guessing that you and him don't even know each other that well yet. And even if you do know each other super well, if he still can't decide how he feels about you, then what's even to talk about? And if he's a guy that doesn't even really know you yet, then you can't take his rejection or him not liking you back personally because he doesn't even really know you. Who is he? He's just a guy who doesn't know you that well, who just wants to go in a different direction for whatever reason. When you take it personally, you end up in the spiral of trying to prove yourself to him. You convince yourself that you will never feel worthy until you get his approval. And this is so destructive. This is so damaging on so many levels. And then when the relationship inevitably falls apart, which it will, because that's what happens when a guy doesn't like you enough, I mean, there's just not enough there to sustain a full-blown relationship, you carry that with you and you bring it into the next relationship. You have that chip on your shoulder. You have that your self-esteem just isn't fully intact and you're worried about the same thing happening again, and then you perpetuate this vicious cycle. And you might find that you end up dating the same kinds of guys over and over again. You have to break the cycle. You break it by recognizing what's in front of you, by recognizing when a guy just doesn't like you enough and telling yourself, that's okay. You can't win them all. You just can't. It's impossible. And when you can gracefully recognize that and just walk away, that is how you build up your self-worth, and that is how you build up your self-esteem. Right now, you might think that you desperately want him, but that's not the case because you probably don't even know him that well yet. It's really your ego that needs the validation. That's what you're holding on to here, and that's what you can't let go of. It's not him. It's not because he's the most amazing guy in the entire world and you're never gonna find anyone better. That's just ridiculous when you think about it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You need to give those things to yourself. You need to give yourself that sense of worth. You need to give yourself that feeling of, I'm gonna be okay no matter what. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please give it a like. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, especially if you're in a situation like this. We can all support each other. I've been in this situation, many times in the past, so I feel your pain. For more relationship advice, check out anewmode.com. Sign up for our newsletter, anewmode.com/subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @anewmode, and I'll see you guys in the next video.